everybody, and welcome back to another edition of Sports Sunday. And for today, it is Selection Sunday for the NCAA March Madness basketball tournament. And now with the Big Ten title game being now, and with Michigan State defeating Michigan, now we're going to be heading towards a Selection Sunday special to find out who are going to get the last 5 spots in the field of 68 for the March Madness basketball tournament. These teams would be on the bubble. So right now, there's currently 63 locks, which include Abilene Christian, Auburn, Baylor, Bradley, Buffalo, Cincinnati, Colgate, Duke, Fairleigh Dickinson, Florida, Florida State, Gardner-Webb, Georgia State, Gonzaga, Houston, Iona, Iowa, Iowa State, Kansas, Kansas State, Kentucky, Liberty, Louisville, LSU, Marquette, Maryland, Michigan, Michigan State, Minnesota, Mississippi, Mississippi State, Montana, Murray State, NC Central, Nevada, New Mexico State, North Carolina, North Dakota State, Northeastern, Northern Kentucky, Oklahoma, Old Dominion, Oregon, Prairie View A&M, Purdue, St. Louis, St. Mary's, Seton Hall, Syracuse, Tennessee, Texas Tech, UCF, UC Irvine, Utah State, VCU, Vermont, Villanova, Virginia, Virginia Tech, Washington, Wisconsin, Wofford, and Yale. So those 63 locks, we're going to give our verdict on who are going to get the final 5 spots. These are teams that are on the bubble, whether they didn't get an outright bid by winning their conference tournament title game. But we're going to break down here which 5 teams we think we're going to make it through. So as of right now, the first team we think is going to get the nod for the tournament is Ohio State. Even though at times during the season they were inconsistent, and during the Big Ten tournament, they lost in the quarterfinals to Michigan State, even though they put up a good fight, which Michigan State eventually ended up winning. Still believe that they still had a few strong wins throughout the season. And now for this March Madness tournament selection for their committee, they're trying out a different ranking other than the relative strength of schedule, the RPI they used to have. And now it's a new calculation where they rank teams based upon considering other factors, which is called net. Now, for this ranking, it tries to include more factors and to try to at least, in their view, try to balance out, how to at least more fairly consider all teams in the Division I for the NCAA for college basketball. So, moving forward, that's what we're going to try to go with. But we think Ohio State's probably going to get the nod just because they had wins over Cincinnati, which won their conference title game earlier today against Houston. They also defeated Iowa, Minnesota, Creighton, and Indiana earlier this year. So even with that, even though they were inconsistent at times during the season, we still think that they're going to end up moving on to the big tournament. Now, also, the second team we think is going to make it through, we think it's going to be NC State, just because even though they didn't really play very well, they were able to rally from a 16-point deficit and to actually win by 1 because for that last game that they had 2, we think that's going to be the game that's going to get them over the top, over the edge to get on toward the tournament as well. So now for the third team, we think is going to be able to move on. This is going to be a bit of a surprise here too, because we think it's going to be Belmont, just because even though it's not really a well-known school or a really big school that people really think about, we just still think that Belmont's been fairly impressive, and they held their own against top-tier teams, or the teams that, or at least the strongest teams in their schedule. They were able to at least put up a decent fight against for the most part. Now, even though in the Ohio Valley Conference they lost to Murray State in the championship game, but they still play like a strong season, we still think they're going to get the nod moving forward. And then as for the next team that we think is going to be able to move on, so the fourth team that we think is going to be moving on is UNC Greensboro, just because not just for the record, but overall they played very strong throughout the year, and we think they're going to get the nod going forward. And then also, the next team that we think, so this is going to be number 5 as of right now on the bubble, it's going to be in the field of 68. We think that final team is going to be Arizona State, just because, again, they played strong against the tougher teams in their schedule. And they think that for the wins that they had over Kansas and also Washington, even though Washington was upset in the Pac-12 conference game, or the conference title game, we still think that's going to get them over. So again, to review, we had Ohio State, Arizona State, Belmont, UNC Greensboro, and NC State. Those are going to be, Ohio State. Belmont also had not only Ohio State, Belmont, Arizona State, and then UNC Greensboro and NC State. We think those are going to be the 5 that are going to be picked for the bubble teams to move on to the field of 68, which the March Madness basketball tournament starts on March 19th on Tuesday. So it should be a really fun tournament. But again, it's up to the selection committee to ultimately decide. Just our predictions is our overall verdict. It's up to them to ultimately decide who's going to make up the rest of the teams in the tournament. So for this Sports Sunday, we just wanted to highlight the March Madness basketball tournament. We know there's going on in the NBA. There's also the Players Championship going on in the PGA. It's the final day for the PGA Players Championship at Sawgrass for today. And then also we had international football as well too, with Premier League matchups and Serie A matchups as well. But because it's a big March Madness tournament, it's one of the biggest events of the year, we just wanted to focus this Sports Sunday on that as well. So even though we're just going to focus on the March Madness tournament as well too, we'll try to give some of our predictions as well too, and also share our bracket as well too, find out which of the 68 teams are going to be going through to the tournament, which of the final 5 teams are going to finally be decided by the selection. We will share our bracket with you as well too. We'll see how we'll do this year. And with that being said too, thank you for watching this edition of Sports Sunday. I'm looking forward to the March Madness tournament. I hope all of you. We will be live at 8:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time over on Twitch. So we hope you can join us for that as well too. We'll let everybody know what we're going to be streaming on our Twitter at VerdictSquadNow. And then also on our Twitter, our next Q&A series poll that's already up. There's about another 5 days left to vote. So if you'd like to, go and cast your vote and that as well. So thank you again for watching. We'll see what the selection committee is going to pick. And we will see you guys here 8:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll let everybody know what we're streaming on our Twitter, again, at VerdictSquad. We will see you guys soon.